Hey guys, it's the Ramos Online here, and today we are on Showdown, and don't worry, the battle video will still be coming out later on today. I'm just doing this to kind of show you guys the process I go through before I start breeding a Pokemon, and it involves using Showdown to see whether or not the Pokemon can actually fulfill the role I want it to, because I can do all the theory crafting I want in my head and on paper, but to actually go ahead and breed it, I want to make sure it absolutely works. I don't necessarily battle with it on Showdown, but I like to get the visual representation of the Pokemon I am going to be breeding, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So the Pokemon I am looking for is Gardevoir. Definitely not Mega, because I want this to be a Trick Room setter, because I'm really liking my Trick Room. I want to bring down that level to 50, just so the stats I'm getting are, solid. The kind of stats you're looking for, it differs between level 50 and level 100. For example, my Aegislash can outspeed a Jolteon and Aerodactyl at level 100 if it gets up on a Totemise, but at level 50 it cannot because of the way stats work. So if you're going to be using this Pokemon a lot in game rather than on Showdown, set it to level 50 because that is what you're going to be using the most. So I guess Trace works well for Gardevoir. I'm not sure what I'm going to give it just yet. Definitely going to have Trick Room and Will-O-Wisp. These are two moves I know Gardevoir can get in-game. You want to be careful if you're doing this sort of theory crafting on Showdown, because Showdown does not tell you whether or not a move is transfer or normally learned in-game. Example, Infestation, yeah, she can't learn that, so I already know that. I know Hyper Voice, she can learn that, but you can't get it in Gen 6 unless you transfer it over, so yeah. So, those are just like the two main moves. Will-O-Wisp to kind of weaken physical attackers, and Trick Room to scab at Trick Room. Trace, I want the Trace, and you can hear the truck going past. Swan, it's called Swain, a Swain truck driving past. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Blame my ADHD. Woo! Trace allows you to trace abilities, so if I trace something wicked like Prankster, then everything other than Trick Room that my Gardevoir has will be awesome, unless it has an attacking move, which it probably will have. Probably going to be Moonblast, because that is the most powerful stab move Gardevoir can get now. So that last slot, I don't know, I could put in Wish. Wish is probably or Healing Wish, but I'm not sure if Healing Wish is a transfer move or not. So what I can do is just go into Bulbapedia. Bulbapedia. Come on. And just go for Healing Wish, and we can find out whether Gardevoir can learn it naturally. Gardevoir gets it by leveling up. So Healing Wish is actually an interesting move, because what it does is it makes me faint and fully heals and removes statuses from the Pokemon switching in. So that could be useful. Wish is another good one, but stats. So what am I wanting? I'm definitely going to want the 0 speed IVs and definitely a negative nature. So Gardevoir's base special defense is above average. The starting point I'd say would be 100 base defense. That's kind of what you're looking for. At level 50, you start getting tanky around here, around 150 is when you start getting tanky. Obviously it also depends on the HP stat. Gardevoir has very low HP compared to some other Pokemon, so this would basically be a weaker version of Aromatisse if I was to go Special Defense HP. So I'm going to max out their HP there. Now here's the kind of fun part. What should I max out? If I just keep my Special Defense at 150 and then see how high I can get my defense with a plus nature. So that gets us to 113, and with Will-O-Wisp, that is okay. That's kind of a mixed tank, sort of. But now the problem is the Wish support probably won't be as viable because I am not as tanky in either one of my stats. So I'm more of a Trick Room setter, and I just kind of attack till I die. So it probably might be worth replacing Wish with Healing Wish. So this is kind of how I go through the process of seeing whether or not a Pokemon even works. Like I'll have the base, and then as I just kind of work up from there. So now, one of my favourite things to do when it comes to HP is do what Venisify does and take that down to 240, because those extra 4 3 points going until it gets to 114. That's kind of okay. kind of like that. That 150, if I was to take this down to 100 and then the rest into special defense, that could be worth something. So 163 is only an improvement of 13, but that could be a big difference, especially if I'm not against a physical attacker at the start. And what might be worth putting on her is a rocky helmet. So should anything try to start hitting her physically, she'll be dealing damage back to them. Even if they decide to attack her weaker defense stat, she'll be dealing some damage to them. That is definitely worth it, especially if it's a Kangaskhan, because that'll be hurting itself twice. Now, I see this kind of works for me. Moonblast, Healing Wish, Will-O-Wisp, Trick Room. So the idea is to set up a Trick Room, I start Will-O-Wisping and Moonblasting, and you know, if my partner is starting to get weak, I switch them out, then I do a Healing Wish on the exact same turn, Gardevoir dies, and my partner comes back in as if they'd never left the field on that turn, and gets fully healed. It is wicked. That could work. That could really, really work. What else can Gardevoir get there? She can get Confuse Ray, Destiny Bond. Oh, I forgot Gardevoir gets the egg move Destiny Bond. That could also be good instead of Healing Wish. So once she's weak, I just Destiny Bond and take down the attacking Pokemon. Can even do that on the first turn if I am sure Gardevoir is going to get double targeted or something. So that looks pretty good. Base speed will be, my speed will be 76, which is pretty good for a Trick Room. You want to look for anything 50 or under, preferably, but 76 is still pretty good inside a Trick Room, because most things are going to be much faster than that. 80 base speed is kind of the fastest Pokemon you ever want in a Trick Room. So that's Gardevoir, but now I'm going to see if I can make it any better by looking at Kirlia. Because what Kirlia gets is the Eviolite. So with the Eviolite, I am boosting my defenses a bit more. So the first thing I want to do is look at its stats, compare it to Gardevoir's stats. So 65, 115, and what we have here is 35, 55. Oh dear, Kirlia with Eviolite, definitely not worth it. Even if I max out these two stats here, my HP stat is too low, and even with the Eviolite, that is only going up to about 160 at the most, which might kind of be good, but Gardevoir gets that naturally, while the defense stat would only be going up to 120. So that basically means my stats are going to be almost the same. Kirlia might be slightly tankier, but the lower HP stat is always a worry. I do not think that would be worth it unless I just wanted to be that guy who brought Kirlia to battle. So yeah, I'll just remove that. So that is kind of what we've got. Now, from here, I just see, well, what other moves can it get? Offensively, Moonblast is probably the best, but it can also get Dazzling Gleam. Remember, this is going to be for a doubles Trick Room team. So Dazzling Gleam is always another viable option if I want to have consistent damage on both opponents. But Moonblast is focused and has higher base power, so that will always be doing more damage anyway. So because of this, I'm going to stick with the Moonblast. And then, from here, I start breeding. I have several Dittos that have the minus speed plus special defense nature. I then can start breeding this right now if I wanted. It might be worth testing it on Showdown as well, but I don't always do that just because I don't. So I hope this video was sort of insightful. I just kind of made it on a whim, like, oh well, I'll just show guys how I come up with these things. So you might actually see this Gardevoir appear in one of my videos in the future, especially if I do go ahead and decide to breed it, because I've just finished breeding my Trick Room Goomies. So if you liked the video, remember to like, favourite, and if you haven't already, subscribe, and I will see you guys later on today in the next battle video. Thanks for watching.